was afraid to date you because we were working together
Mm.
and you're my junior. Could you be?
Mhm.
Yeah. And I was like, I was taken aback and I was like, oh, okay. I mean, let's see. And I remember he's the one who helped me with the relocation from Mombasa to Nairobi.
Yes.
Yeah, and everything moved on. Yeah, quite well.
Mm.
Yeah.
And you quickly said yes.
I did. I did. I was looking for someone to settle with. It looked serious, mature, and yes, I said yes. I did. Yeah.
Mhm.
Mm,
Okay.
mm.
Then you settled down in marriage. How was that journey like looking back? What are some of the things you enjoyed about marriage to your husband? What was his name?
Oh, wow. His name was Stephen Kathurima Mwebia.
Mm.
He was a wonderful man, very generous. He was loving, very present. He had a very big heart. He had a very big heart for, and he just took me, as in he loved me, my family, and everyone around. Yes, it was a beautiful journey. It was a very beautiful journey, and not despite the ups and downs of marriage. Of course, when you're settling with someone, these are two different people who've come together. There are those initial years of getting to know someone and settling down, but eventually, I think we got to know each other and settled well. Yes.
Okay. So several years down the line, the Lord calls your husband home. Which year was that?
Wow. This was in 2018. It was in
Mm.
2018.
Mhm.
It was the it was on the eve of his birthday. He was turning 40, and yeah, so, and actually, how do I go about this? He had just gotten born again, like the previous year in October. Yes, and he had plugged into ministry in church. He was serving, and he was serving and also serving in some committee. Not to mention that it had been a journey praying for him to get to salvation.
Mm.
And so I was glad that finally we were serving together in church. But this is cut short one evening as he's coming back home from work, and he's
It's okay, Liz. Um,
I'm seated at home waiting for him, of course, with the children, and I remember the children had closed school, and I remember that evening we prayed, and I remember my daughter praying and saying, God, please take care of daddy wherever he is. Please bring him back home safe. And I thought he was meeting his friends, so I didn't want to bother him that evening, because the following day we were going to have lunch at his sister's place, and there was already a cake that was in place. And I said, let me just leave him to enjoy time with his friends. Then when we come back, of course, tomorrow is Good Friday, we'll have some time together. Yeah, and so I sleep, and I'm at peace when I'm sleeping.
yeah.
Yeah, but I wake up in the middle of the night, and he's not there. It's quite unlike him. So I peep through the window. I don't see his car, and I'm like, okay. So I call him, and he doesn't pick. Quite unlike him. But then I call him again, and he doesn't pick. But again, I say, okay. So I go back to sleep. I think I was so tired, and I'm carried, and I sleep. Then I wake up again at 3 a.m. And this time my heart is beating so fast. He's still not home. So I call his phone, he's not picking. Yeah, and previously he would pick, however late it was, and tell me, used to call me, "Mommy, I'm on my way home." Yeah, and I'm like, what's going on? So as I'm sitting and wondering, I get a phone call from his sister. The sister is a doctor, and she asked me, "Liz, are you home?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's 3 a.m. Of course, I'm home." She tells me, "Steve has had an accident." I'm like, "Oh my God, okay." And he's been taken to Mater Hospital. I'm like, "No problem. Then let's meet at Mater." And she's like, "No, no, no, no. Don't come to Mater. Just wait for us. We're coming to pick you." Okay. And I'm like, "God, okay." Like, it's 3 a.m. I can drive to Mater. I don't have to come all the way. And she's like, "No, just wait for me. Just wait for us. We're coming for you." And immediately my spirit senses something is wrong.
Yeah.
And it's like she's trying to protect me from something. And so I wake up, I dress up, and I go and talk to the nanny. I tell her this and this has happened. I've been told my husband has been involved in an accident. So I'm going to the hospitals. You watch over the kids. I'll be back. And she was an elderly woman, and she told me, "Let's just pray."
That's your nanny.
That's my nanny. She told me,
Oh.
"Let's just pray." And I remember I knelt down in her room and we prayed. She prayed. She's actually the one who prayed because I had panicked. And we prayed, and I waited. And Grace, that was the longest wait of my life.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what was going on. I mean, I waited and I waited, and it was like the 40 minutes. It was the longest time. And then I called my sister-in-law back, and this time she didn't pick. The husband picks.
Yeah.
And I could hear someone like crying in the background. And I asked her, and she's like, "Liz, just wait for us. We are coming." I'm like, "No, you guys, let's meet." But this time he was very firm. He was like, "Liz, I've told you, wait for us. We are coming for you." So I went actually to wait them outside the gates of my home.
What time is this?
It's around 4 a.m. now.
In the morning.
In the morning, I am waiting there. I'm waiting for them there. So I wait, and they eventually get there, but I see two cars approaching. I notice my sisters-in-law car and another car that I can't recognize. So they all come. They come. There were 4 people, if I remember well. My sister-in-law, the husband, my late husband's cousin, and the husband. And everyone seems to be in low spirits. It's like they're all sobbing, including the men. And I'm like, okay. So they're like, "Liz, let's get back into the house." I'm like, "No, you said we're going to hospital. Let's go." They're like, it's 4 a.m. We can't go now. I'm like, if someone has anyone sick, they're allowed to see them anytime. Yeah. So please, let's go. So they they insisted we get back to the house. And immediately my sister-in-law breaks down. And I asked them, "What is wrong?" And I remember the cousin saying, "Liz, I wish we had better news for you." I asked her, what are you saying?" And then she said, "Steve had an accident." "Yeah, but he's in Mata. He's in ICU. How is he doing? I mean, where have they?" They said, "No, he didn't make it." What do you mean he didn't make it? What does that mean? What does not making it mean? I mean, I don't
You
understand.
are not connecting at that
what does that
point.
mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, "It means he is no more." I'm like, "No, he can't be no more. I mean, look." Then I remember rolling down and, "What are you saying? I mean, I have a 2-year-old baby. What am I going to tell the children?" I mean, that was my first. What am I going to do? What do you mean? So I remember them lifting me and taking me back to the house. And I was asking the sister, who was that, "Have you confirmed? Are you sure?" She was like, "Yes." So can I go? I'm like, "Please take me to the hospital." They're like, "No, he's not in the hospital." "Where is he?" Then they mentioned he was at not Montezuma, the other one, Umash. I'm like, "No." I mean, I was with them in the morning. We spoke. We had breakfast together, and how is he in the morgue now? I mean, it doesn't make sense, you know.
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah, and I remember calling. I mean, I remember crying and wondering and and wondering now what next. How do I? So the first person I called was my mom. My mom broke down. That one I left her to deal with it. Then I asked myself, now what next? Now after that, after of course crying for some time, I had to recollect myself. Then I called one of the deacons in the church where I go, and immediately, like after 10 minutes, my house was full of of my fellow home cell members.
Yeah, at Parkland's
Autis,
Baptist.
yes,
Yeah.
Eastgate, the Syokimau group.
Yeah.
They were all at my house. I mean, most of them, and we were all crying and wondering. So we had been told to wait and go back to at 8 a.m. Yes, and so they really, I mean, they stood with me at that time. I don't know how I would have handled that if it was not of their presence. Yeah, they really held me. And then of course now my family started coming. My mom was in Mombasa, so she had to start coming immediately. Yeah, and now the biggest question was, now my kids are still asleep.
Yes,
The
I
house
can
is full
imagine.
of people.
Mm.
So how am I going to break
On
this
the eve of their dad's birthday.
birthday? Yes. How am I going to break this news to my children? That is the most difficult thing I've ever had to do.
How did you do it, Liz?
It was the most difficult thing I think I've had to do. My sister came immediately, and she was like, it will not be proper if the children wake up and they hear this from other people. So we have to go and wake them up and just tell them. So we go to the room and they're like, "Whoa, Auntie Evelyn, you're here for Daddy's birthday."
Oh no.
And my heart sinks.
Yeah.
And I remember the previous evening he had picked my firstborn girl. She was 8 then, from school, and dropped her home. They were really, really close. And and I told them, no, they're not here for Dad's birthday. Dad has just had an accident. Oh, where is he? How is he? He's in hospital. Can we go see him? I'm like, no, he's not in hospital. No, he's in where? No, my girl got hysterical. Where is he? And she's like, I told her, no, Dad he did not make it. I used the same words. Like, no, you can't tell me. You mean my dad died? I'm like, unfortunately, yes. And she asks me, no. She started crying and rolling down. Then she woke up. You can't tell me. She's like, I'm only 8. She told me that. I'm only 8. How can Daddy die?
Yeah.
She's like, look at you. You're only 35. I was,
Oh.
you mean you're a widow? You can't be a widow at this age. It's not true, Mom. It's not true. And she wailed and screamed. I could not contain her. It was very difficult to like contain her. Yeah, and so we eventually organize ourselves, and by 8 we leave, and she insists she has to come along with us. And so I said, fine, let us go. Let's go. And we leave the house and we go to Umash. But now you see, the accident happened, the body's cleared. It's now have to go to the morgue, and this really made me, I mean, it really took me time to heal, because I felt I didn't get closure, because I didn't get to the accident scene and see how this accident happened. There are many nights, Grace, I could drive along that place and just park my car on the roadside and try to imagine. So he was driving this way, then there was this truck that came, and did he see it? because that place was a bit dark.
Mm.
Were the street lights on? I couldn't figure out.
You are trying to visualize
Yeah, I
what
was trying to
happened
visualize how it
to help you get
yeah,
closure.
to help me get closure, how it happened. Then I was also blaming myself. I'm like, I wish I called him. Probably if he
Oh.
picked my call,
Mm.
yeah, it would have alerted him to see that truck, because they say he hit a truck that had stalled. Other reports say the truck was moving at a low speed.
Mm.
Yeah, others say it was parked on the road and there were no hazards. So you see, you can never really tell what happened. Yes. Yeah, and so we get to the morgue and wow, the scene is not pleasing to look at, because it was really a bad accident. Yeah. And immediately I see him, I say, no, my daughter cannot see him at this state. Yeah. So she had been left outside, because they were, once you get an accident, it's normally a police case. So the police have to come, and before they come, the body cannot be cleaned. Yeah. So I wanted it cleaned so that at least I didn't want that picture to remain in my daughter's eyes. Yeah. Yeah. And so now from there, it's like now, I think it's like a movie, because most of the things that happened after that, I have no recollection. You hear arranging a burial, you
You are
hear
arranging a birthday party.
you arranging
For your husband he's turning 40.
exactly.
And now you have to arrange for a burial.
Thank you. Exactly.
What was going on through your head?
Yeah, I mean, from arranging a birthday party to now arranging a funeral. I mean, and for your husband. And you see, I thought uh, husbands die when you're 80, 70. You know, I mean, I had never thought it would happen that soon. Yeah. And so, yeah, we start planning, and within 1 week, we lay him to rest. Mm. Yeah, we lay him to rest, and a new life, a new chapter begins.
How are your other children? How did they receive the news? You know, your 8-year-old was sharp. She could ask the questions. Did she get to see the dad?
Yeah, she eventually got to see him, but she could really break down. She could really break down at home, and I remember her saying she wants to be buried with yeah, because yeah, she was really, and actually I had to get her a child counselor so that she had to go through therapy. It really hit her very hard. The other one was 6 years old, and she's quite she's an introvert. And what I came to realize is that she was hurting from the inside. She was not displaying her, like this other one who would cry out openly.
Her emotions.
Emotions, yeah. How she could hide in her room and cry. Because I remember one night, as I'm going to sleep, I'm hearing someone sobbing, and I open one of the rooms and I find my daughter there, my second born. She is sobbing, and that is when I realized, oh, she is so affected, because initially I had thought she is so young to comprehend what was going on. Yeah, I thought she was so young, but she was mourning in her own different way. Yeah, and so I had to really encourage them and talk to them. Remember, one thing about grief, you have to deal with your own grief, and then help your children also deal with grief. And so my other child was 2 years, and for her, she quite didn't understand, I think, what's going on. But I think I remember her telling me, "Mommy, I don't want to see people at home. I want daddy." She was 2.5. Why are people coming to our home? Where is daddy? And then there's those songs that are sung during that time.
The funerals.
Yeah, those so I'm like, "Mommy, I don't want those songs. Those I don't chakutumaini." She doesn't. She was like, "Mommy, stop singing. I want daddy." These people come, they start singing, and you start crying. You know what's going on? Yeah, and we had to stick together to help each other heal. Yeah, and we were all, we had to be there for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't easy. Yeah, at times they could break down in school, and the teachers would call me, they had good teachers because even
Yes.
the schools came, and so they supported them. Yeah, during that time.
Okay.
Yes.
Oh, I'm hosting Liz Kitheka, our guest on profile today. And if you have any question or comment to her, our SMS line is 20933. That is 20933. Our hashtag is hashtag profile. My name is Grace Mutiso. And, in the next hour, will be sampling some of your questions and comments. Remember, we are live on Facebook. We also live on YouTube. Our handle is at Top FM Live. And, if you know somebody who's gone through loss and they're struggling, or you are the one, please hang in there, because the second portion of Liz's story, for sure, I believe will be able to minister to you. So before we get to a break, Liz, let me turn back to you. It said during funerals, people are there for you, people make promises, and they leave.
Yes, they do.
They leave.
They do.
How was that season?
Wow. Wow. That season was overwhelming. Well, there was a lot of support from his friends. Then, from his friends, then there was a lot of support. They all came in big numbers to bury him.
He was a people person.
He was a people's person. Yeah. So, in fact, some of the people who attended the burial were like, "Wow, it looked like we were burying a 60-year-old person." Yeah,
Or a politician.
or a politician. He was
Yeah.
a people's person. And so yes, they bury, and they make a lot of promises. Of course, we will support these children, we will do this, we will, yeah. And and naive as you are like, well, I'll be having people around me, I have support. Yes. And sadly, most of them, since they buried him, I have never seen them, nor received a call from them to date. Yeah. Some have stuck. I think less than 2, 3 friends have really been loyal on checking up on us. And yeah, the rest went. The rest went. And with time, I used to be bitter, like, hey, how can they do this? He was there for them. But I came to realize probably their season in our life was over. Yeah. And I let them go. Yeah, and I just let them go. But I think that is so normal. Yeah, they come in a hurry to finish the burial ceremony and leave. Yeah, but I think some of the friends stayed. They stayed. They I think after a month, they created whatever, a kitty, an education fund for the children. Yeah, and that was quite helpful and thoughtful of them. So in every story there's a bright side of it. They just didn't go, but of course they go. But again, they have to go so that you begin your journey of healing.
Yes.
Because if you're around people, you will never heal. Yes, they have to go. So I think it's just natural. Yes.
Okay. And there is one thing you told me while we were talking about your story off air, of such a hurtful thing that happened. You didn't know your husband has passed on, and here you are. You receive videos.
Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh
Talk
yes.
about that. What happened?
Yeah, I looking ahead. It's interesting how we always rush to scenes to take videos and photos of someone. So you say I wasn't at the scene, so I don't know what happened. In fact, I remember a few weeks later after the burial, I had to trace and look for the person who made the call to the sister, so that he can really tell me. I really needed closure, Grace, so that he can really tell me what happened, what did he see. Yeah, and so there are these videos circulating of him lying down in a pool of blood, them trying to remove him, and they're sending all those photos around. It was so sad. And I think people should just refrain. People should just, whether you know the person or not, it is not fair to the family. Yeah. it was not a bad sin. It was, I mean, it was such a bad sin to look at. Yeah.
How did the Lord help you heal from that? Because pictures stick for you. We've talked about you had to stay close with your children, help them get healed. But for you, how was it? Because you're here, the society changes your name so quickly.
Yes.
She was Mrs. Now she's widow.
Yes. Wow. I also had to seek help. I also had to go through therapy together with my children. That helped. Secondly, I wouldn't lie if I said I prayed then. I was not able to pray. Yeah, but I had a strong support system around me that was praying for me, and my, I mean, my who are this? After therapy, I think after therapy, it was also not also making sense, because I think it is so structured.
Yeah.
It is so structured. It doesn't quite help much. But I had so many questions for God. I was just asking God, why now? I was just beginning to serve you. I was just beginning to do this. Why now? And it was so hard to pray. I remember even one night calling my daughter to pray. And she asked me, Mom, does God even listen? Does God even listen? I remember we prayed that evening before the accident, but it still decided to take Daddy away. So why should we pray? So I told her we cannot lose our faith right now. We just pray. We don't understand now, but someday it will make sense. But I had this grace. In fact, most of the people around me would not believe it was me, because I was that woman who was how would I put it? Alikuwa ametendekezwa na bwanake.
You are pampered.
I was pampered. Thank you for
you
that.
had everything.
Yes. I was, so they were like, how is she going to
survive?
How is she going to survive? How is she going to, to overcome all this? And they were looking at me and from a distance, and I could hear, some undertones and mamas and them talking. Hey, but I think God gave me such grace and courage. And I just said, God, I don't know why this happened, but now help me deal with this. Yes, and I had to recollect. I had to recollect myself, and start moving, because I would look at my children and say, no, I have to do it. If not for myself, for them. I cannot give them less of what their dad had given them. So I had to rise up to the occasion.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Thank you, Liz. Allow us to pause here and get to a commercial break. When we come back, would want to hear how God changed this pain into purpose. Liz is working in purpose. How did God transform that into purpose? And we'll be letting you know more about that. But for now, I need to remind you about a very special meeting happening this weekend. It's the Joint Sitam Women Ministry meeting that will be happening this Saturday, 23rd of July from 3:30 to 5 p.m. live right here at Hope FM, Hope TV, and also on our station, Facebook and YouTube via the handles at Hope FM Live, at Hope TV Kenya. The focus is give God no rest, drawn from Isaiah 62:7, and give God no rest till he establishes, until he makes Jerusalem a praise in the earth. Join and engage with us. That's tomorrow from 3:30 all the way to 5 p.m. right here at Hope FM, Hope TV, and on Facebook and YouTube using the handle No Rest. For now, let me play for us a song, just reminding us that, in every season, never get tired of praising the Lord, because there is power in praising the Lord. As you praise him, he sorts you out, he gives you that peace and that assurance that all is well. The song title is by Vicky Kitonga, Sitaacha Kumsifu. Keep it right here.
Profile Song Break. Take a moment of reflection.